Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA Saturday Cup Series here at Chicagoland. We hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving with their family, and I know I sure did. Had some good grub to eat for sure. Of course, my name is Brian Britt, and I'm joined in the booth by Big Al. How was your Thanksgiving, Big Al?
What do you mean? Does Thanksgiving already happened? I
Yeah,
missed
did
it?
you missed it?
Well, Kenny said he was going to be right back. He was going to go get. Anyway, man, I guess I'm good. So, yeah, what we got going on here tonight, Brian?
Well, we have a 134 laps here tonight for the Domino's 200 at Chicagoland. We've already kind of seen a little bit of Chicagoland last week. Definitely missed our time on Thursday, though, but we definitely got a good race ahead of us here. Let's look at the race facts right quick. Got to knock the rust off a little bit here, Big Al. I've been taking quite a rest here this last week, but 134 laps, as I mentioned before. Stages are 25 and 50. Of course, race concluding on lap 134, going to 135. 5 tire sets, 4 down actually in the pits, I do believe. 42 laps is the fuel window, which is quite a short fuel window, Big Al. Of course, so that will allow them to make it at least through stage 1 pit and then make it through stage 2, but that will not allow them to make it in that final stage. And I don't even know, they might even have to take 2 stops in that final stage. 42 laps is not a long time.
Yeah, I think it's going to push out to be more like 46, and I think we've even seen some drivers take it up a little bit more than that. So I think it will be a single pit stop in that third stage. I don't think a lot of drivers are going to have to do it in 2. It's just going to depend on tire wear, but that's going to be dependent on the track temp. And right now, that ambient air temperature, Brian, is at 74 degrees with a track temp of 100 degrees Fahrenheit with the winds out of the south at 5 miles an hour. If that track stays hot, that will definitely cause those tires to wear prematurely, and then maybe we could see some drivers having to stop a little bit early.
Yeah, for sure. Tire wear is a big thing here at this racetrack. I mean, you're going to see probably a lot of guys in the first 15 or so laps probably running the bottom and then progressively try to move up the racetrack. Of course, there is something to keep in mind here at Chicago. There is a bump in the middle of 3 and 4 that can cause the car to wash up to the outside wall. And I know the lower fuel that these guys have in these race cars can upset the handling and can also make that bump feel more apparent. Now, that is going to be pretty scary here. So we're looking at qualifying. Actually, a new face out there, Randy Mullins. I'm kind of curious, been wondering if that's maybe someone that is kin to Darren Mullins, possibly.
Well, Darren Mullins, a.k.a. John Mullins, now there's a Randy Mullins. I don't know what's going on with that, but I do know one name that we all are familiar with, that's Josh Schaffner. And right now, old Josh has got the fastest time going around the racetrack right now, which is going to put him on the pole.
Yeah, of course, they have 3 minutes left in qualifying, but that is a very quick lap. I do believe one of the quickest laps I've seen all week, a 30.179. Very fast here. Joey Preview right now, not even close. He's about tenth and a half off of that time. Jeffrey Souza, though, is cruising up to second place in the point or in the standings here. But let's look at the actual point standings here for this Cup Series. Of course, I do believe in 2 races we are going to be crowning a champion.
That's right. And ladies and gentlemen, don't be mistaken about it. There will not be a playoff. In 2 races, we will be crowning a champion.
Abner Acosta right now is in the points lead still, but Chris Severa is starting to close in. Only 12 points separate these guys. Unfortunately, though, Big Al, Chris Severa is not going to be participating here tonight, if I'm not mistaken, considering he is out of town. So that's going to give old Kenny Powell a chance to run for a championship here. He is only 13 points out from our points leader, Abner Acosta. Of course, Abner has not been showing up the last few races. Don Avery sitting in 4th place. 5th place is Jose Acosta. Still some very tight points going on right now. Kendall Levron, of course, has moved up into 6th. Ryan Strunk, 7th place. 8th place, Thomas O'Hara. So definitely very close racing here. I mean, the points between, 1st and I do believe 5th is only 31 points. That's not a lot, Big Al.
Yeah, so the key is going to be with the absence of Abner as well as Chris Severa is now really going to turn in to see what what's Kenny Powell going to be able to do with this? I mean, he's got some other big names behind him, Brian, that are going to be in the points chase as well. One of those names being Don Avery. So the better performance these guys have in the absence of those leaders, that's just going to make this race just that much more exciting coming down to the end.
100%. I actually expect, I think just because of the fact that Chris Severa is not here tonight, Kenny Powell possibly could take the points lead tonight. It just depends on, does he get involved in an accident, finish last? I think even if that is the case, he is going to still close that gap in because those guys are, at least Kenny gets points. Those guys don't get any for not being here.
Well, yeah, and that's right. But let's don't go crowning the champion just yet. We still got plenty of races left to go. I know that's not towards you. That's what Big Al says, though. But another thing Big Al says is, with 25 seconds left to go in qualifying, let's go ahead and step away. Hear that beautiful national anthem, something that we all should be giving thanks for, and then we'll come back, guys. We'll run through this lineup in here, and hopefully we'll have ourselves a great race.
Drivers, start your engines!
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy, and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
No.
When you carry out, some things are out of your control. But with Domino's new carry-out insurance, we'll replace your pizza if it gets ruined after you leave the store. Carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 every day.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we have the grid set for this evening's action in the Domino's 200. Josh Shopner is going to claim the pole here with Joey Preby on the outside pole. Greg Wachinski is going to be starting in third place with Don Avery starting fourth. Fifth place is going to be Jeffrey Souza with Wes Dobbs starting in sixth place. Seventh place is going to be Kendall Levron with the 24 of Kenny Powell starting in eighth. Ninth place, Thomas O'Hara. And rounding out our top 10 is Randy Mullins.
And then here comes Darren Mullins bringing up 11th with Jose Acosta in 12th. Derek Jacobs starts in 13th with Gary Adamson alongside him, and that's going to round out this 14-car field. And we are back here after a small hiatus. Well, not really a hiatus for the Saturday night league, as we were just here last Saturday, Brian. I believe we were at the iRacing Super Speedway. But this is another super speedway, slightly different than the 3+ mile fictional track. This is one of those This is one of those old 1 point, mile and a halfers, we'll say. This
And
is a
I gotta
dinosaur.
say, this track has actually been taken off of the NASCAR schedule. I think that was a big mistake, in my opinion. This track is so awesome to race at. I mean, I love this track. No matter what car you bring here, Xfinity, truck, next gen, it is so much fun. You're gonna see some side by side action.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the most historic tracks that we've had here in the newer series of the gen races of NASCAR. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't NASCAR's decision. I do believe that the city of Chicago actually turned this into some prime housing real estate there.
Yeah,
So
and that is something that happens. I mean, you see the same thing with Myrtle Beach. That racetrack that was out there in Myrtle Beach got demolished because of just real estate costs. It's more it's more I guess lucrative to sell the land itself and build stuff on it, build houses and things of that nature.
But one of the cool things about what we do here within sim racing, Brian, is we'll be able to preserve the legacy of tracks like
Hmm.
Chicago as well as the Myrtle Beach Speedway. Because if you think about it, iRacing having its hand in this, we'll be able to take this track and race it well on into the ages, man, and running whatever gen that floats
Then
your
it's gonna
boat.
be then it's gonna be a fictitious track. But I mean, at least at one point it did exist, so it's based on somewhat reality. But that's one thing sad about that though, Big Al, is that yeah, you're right that it does kind of preserve it. But the thing about it is, with the tracks being gone, you can't scan them again to make sure that you scan. If you have better technologies.
Yeah, but that's the reason why you scanned it the first time. So you don't
Yeah.
have to.
Hopefully that scanner was really good. As we're now on the back stretch, pace car lights are out, and we're getting ready to go back racing here. We had some good time off, but I sure am happy to be back in this chair and looking over this racetrack to see these guys in competition as we enter 3 and 4.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, what Brian is trying to say is he's so happy to be back up in the booth with Big Al and looking over and seeing Big Al's big old smiling face there. That's what's making him feel real good here tonight. But that's right, we are back here. The pace car will be getting out of the way momentarily, and we will be back to some green flag racing. Hope everybody's having a gracious Saturday evening here as you get ready to take this thing green.
Green flag is out in the air now as John Schaffner gets an excellent start, but Joey Preby able to keep that nose right there on that right side. So side by side going to be going into turn 1 for the lead. Greg Wyszynski also battling with the 11 of Don Avery right there behind him. Oh, Joey Preby gets loose. No one hits him.
That's not going to be good for previous. Those tires didn't get up to operating temperature. But look at the corn man go as Josh Schaffner is continuing to do what he needs to do. And my main man, Don Avery, they're securing second place. So that's what, Brian, we have got the first lap in the books, caution free.
Yeah, I'm shocked that wasn't a caution. I mean, did you see that? I mean, Preby just all of a sudden broke loose. And I think it really comes down to that. The tires just were not up to temperature, and he was pushing it quite hard. As we see the battle, I do believe, from Thomas O'Hara, as Preby actually tries to work his way back up closer. And actually is starting to get closer and closer here to Kenny Powell. Of course, Powell is in 8th place. Schaffner is in the lead half a second right now over Don Avery. But Don Avery's starting to get caught by Jeffrey Souza.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to get caught right now, but I'm just happy to see that the corn man cometh. It's good to see Josh Schaffner back out here. And even though he might not be up in the top of the ranks, he is still a guy that is a consummate professional here in the Saturday Night Series. And it's good to have Josh back and running up front. As farther back in the pack, the 28 of Kendall LeBron looks like he is going to get by the 5 of Greg Wyszynski, and Kendall is going to secure that 4th place spot.
Yeah, he definitely has taken that spot from Wyszynski, looking very fast in that race car. We'll have to see what kind of happens here. The 72, though, I do believe, starting to work his way forward. Also, Wes Dobbs been loving everything we've seen from that 72. But look at that. Joey Preby has already worked his way back up into 7th place. Now he's going to be trying to take that position from Wes Dobbs.
Yeah, the question is going to be just how patient Preby is going to be, I guess, if we look at it back in hindsight as well as retrospect. Joey Preby, no stranger to this league, no stranger to a little bit of maybe strife, I guess we'd say. But here he is tonight, and he is running around Greg Wychinski on the outside, trying to get himself back up into the top 5 because, remember, Preby did start this thing in P2, had a little bit of a bobble. That cost him some paces.
Bit, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, well, it didn't cause a caution. So
It did, but it abused those tires, though, I'd say.
Yeah, but he has got her back in the win, though, Brian. He is all the way back up into 5th place.
He definitely is, and what a magnificent drive. I mean, that could have – anybody else, that could have been the end of that race right there. But he was able to keep it going, recover. Definitely some great racing. Lap 6 now in the books, soon to be lap 7 as we see Jeffrey Souza trying to work his way closer and closer to Don Avery, but Josh Schaffner still out to a half a second lead. Kendall LeBron has started to close in on Jeffrey Souza here. He's another one of the bigger movers, but I do believe Kendall's going to end up having to deal with this 65 sooner rather than later, as we mentioned before. Joey Preby is definitely on a rail right now.
Yeah, Kendall LeBron, though, like you said, still on the hunt, trying to get his car well back up into the top 3 as he is on Sousa's rear bumper and in his rear view mirror. Josh Schaffner still leading this thing, though, Brian, but it just makes you wonder how many laps did Schaffner put down? How many laps did Avery put down? Do these guys really, because here we are Saturday night coming into the end of this thing in Chicagoland. Everybody's setup should be in their prime. So guys should be pushing it, especially in this first stage. So I'm a little bit I'm wondering what's going to happen here because I know they're not going to let just Schaffner run away with this thing.
No, definitely not, for sure. And you mentioned it before. I mean, they raced here last Saturday, or last Thursday, I should say. And, that was before the officials even went there. So they have plenty of time to really get this setup just, perfection. So I know a lot of these guys have been out there turning multiple laps, trying to figure out what the dirty air feels like, what the tire wear on the long run feels like. Side by side, though, Jeffrey Souza and Kendall LeBron.
Jeffrey Souza now trying to assert his dominance over Kendall LeBron as this battle is going on for that 3rd place position. Neither one of these two drivers wanting to yield to the other. Looks like Souza, though, running that high line is trying to get the drive off, but no. Kendall LeBron secures P3, and he is going to run on into the sunset.
For sure. The top 2 right now have quite a little bit of a lead here, about a second. So it's starting to spread out a little bit here, but now that Kendall has gotten by Jeffrey Souza, I'm wondering if he's going to be able to kind of spread his wings here. He goes down to that apron. Now, one thing I've been noticing, Big Al, is going down to that apron does not seem like it's actually advantageous. It seems like it actually makes the car very loose and almost uncontrollable. The 28 loose.
But what happens, though, for some drivers is going to give them that benefit that they're going to be able to save tires and maintain that dominant position. That's why the 28 is definitely set on doing that. But you understand that Jeffrey Souza, with all of the gimmicks, and this guy, I mean, he is an iRacing professional. He's got his own peripherals that he adds here to this thing here that actually helps him get faster. So it's interesting to watch the battle between these two. But here comes Joey Preby. He's trying to poke his nose into there, and that's going to make it a 3-way fight for 3rd place.
Interesting to see. I'm seeing a very high loose condition from Kendall LeBron right now. That car is not behaving, and I think it could very well be that clean air. I mean, seemed like he was doing very well right there in the wake of Jeffrey Souza, but as soon as he actually completed the pass, car started handling poorly, side by side right behind him. As you mentioned, Joey Preby and Jeffrey Souza trying to battle it out. So it looks like Kendall LeBron deciding to go all the way to the top of the racetrack. Greg Wychinski has started catching up here because these guys are side by side, Big Al.
Yeah, as well as Kenny Powell. So what's going to happen is with these guys being caught up like that, dirty air, man, you cannot put too much of a price on the dirty air.
Problems.
Just like that. Souza comes across the nose of Kendall LeBron. LeBron keeps it going, though. Not going to be an issue, but here comes Greg Wychinski. He is definitely going to be taking advantage of the situation that just occurred, trying to get himself up here into the top 5.
And this has allowed Don Avery and Josh Schaffner to drive away. Don Avery is actually starting to catch Josh Schaffner here. It's now side by side. Greg Wychinski going after Joey Preby, and looks like he is going to get clear here. I don't know. Preby does get a run on the exit.
Prevy's still running that high line, and look, you got the 24 Powell coming. This track is still somewhat draft dependent. Maybe not so as we were 15 laps into 25 of the first stage, but that will come into play here.
Preby's getting incredibly loose right now. That allows Greg Wyszynski to get that pass completed. Kenny Powell now going to be trying to get after it.
And Kendall LeBron has dropped back, and now he's got the 42 of Jose Acosta all over his back. Jeffrey Souza now solidifying his third-place position is going to be trying to just get away from the riffraff behind him and look for those two guys that are out front with Don Avery and Josh Schaffner. But those two guys right now, they put themselves totally in a different dimension there, Brian.
Oh, and look at that. Joey Preby giving Kenny Powell a bump there. Now going to go side by side. Definitely a lot of crazy racing right now.
Yeah, he who bumps gets bumped back. So Kenny Powell isn't the bull that I would be trying to give the horns to, especially with Powell trying to secure himself, trying to garner as many spots as he can here tonight to solidify his spot on the number and try to get up to the lead here and possibly win this championship. Don't know if we're going to see Abner Acosta back in the next two races or not. Chris Rivera should be back next week. So Powell has to make hay tonight. As you say, he has to make hay while the sun's shining. The sun's shining on Chicagoland, and he has definitely got to get every harvester he can to try to get as many seeds of hay baled up as he can.
100%, definitely. I mean, because the crop is primed and ready for him to take advantage and sell it for a high price. If he waits too long, he's not going to be able to take advantage. And, if Chris Rivera misses a race, I am going to be trying to make sure I'm the one that wins that race. And Kenny has been on quite a run here as of late. I mean, he's won the last two races in a row, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely he has. It's the 117 of Thomas O'Hara. We're watching him. Got a little bit loose there coming around the 42 of Jose Acosta. These guys are further back in the pack as they are battling for what it looks to be like ninth place. That's going to put Wes Dobbs somewhere around the cut line. Now, this is going to be a big deal because with some 6 laps to go in this thing, it is a large gap between what we say 9th and 10th place, Brian, and that's where that flag is going to wave. So everybody above them probably going to have to find themselves fighting just a little bit longer until that caution flag comes out for the end of the stage.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of these guys are holding on for, trying to, wait till that caution comes out to be able to get all kind of gathered back up. These guys, especially Kendall LeBron, I'm sure he's going to be wanting to get some repairs. I mean, he did smack the wall whenever that whole almost 4-wide condition happened,
Yeah, and this is the thing, though. Oh, Greg Wyszynski getting a little bit too cozy with the concrete as well there. That's going to allow Kenny Powell to pull up alongside him on the high side. Wyszynski's not going to push Powell. Powell's not getting pressed, so that's going to allow him to move all the way up to 4th place.
Yeah, he gets a solid run on the top there. Still side by side. Joey Preby watching.
Oh, and there's contact there. Kendall LeBron spins along the inside. Caution is out. That is going to be premature to the end of that stage. Not sure how this is going to play out, but let's take another look and see what actually happened.
I do believe Kendall LeBron racing with Wes Dobbs here. Oh, I see exactly probably what upset the car there. Using that apron, he kind of probably was a little bit unbalanced here in these corners. But, yeah, he just got loose on the exit there. Got up into Wes Dobbs. Dobbs, of course, was able to keep it straight, but Kendall LeBron spins out into the grass. Kind of surprised that caused a caution, but definitely going to be I'm sure Kendall LeBron's glad it caused a caution so he can get back there and try to repair that machine. Probably a little bit of damage on that machine for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what has happened. That caution did come out prematurely. Looks like Kenny Powell did throw the caution as the stage caution. So that's going to put stage 1 in the books. Looks like Josh Schaffner going to be your stage 1 winner with Don Avery P2. Jeffrey Souza comes on P3. Kenny Powell P4. Greg Wyszynski P5. Joey Preby 6. Wes Dobbs 7th, Jose Acosta 8th, Thomas O'Hara 9th, and Darren Mullins rounds out your top 10 points paying positions with stage 1 in the books. And that complete. Let's take a brief step away, get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with whoever in the heck Brian wants to talk to.
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy, and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
All righty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and then we're going to talk to our Stage 1 winner. I do believe the caution kind of came out prematurely, but it looked like you had it well in hand, Josh. How's the car been handling?
Yeah, it's handling okay. The track temp's a little hotter than what I practiced, so it seems like the track's maybe a little tighter just from based on what I've been working on. But a small adjustment there, and yeah, we'll see what Stage 2 has to bring here.
Now, how much do you think the clean air was? Did that help you out at all?
Yeah, I think it definitely helped me out. I haven't had a ton of laps this week, so I really didn't know what my pace should be. I feel like I might have pushed a little harder than maybe what I should have there. I know Don and I jumped out. I think Don's got a really good car as well in the long run, but it'll be interesting here. Another short sprint here, and then it'll get interesting there as we get to Stage 3, and got to make these tires last for about 40 laps.
Yeah, definitely. I see the pace car lights are out. Can we get a quick shout out from you before we let you get back to it?
Yeah, I got to thank everybody at Smith Farms Pioneer TWRS for the set this week. Having good luck with it and driving good tonight. But I got to thank everybody there, and just great to be back here. I know I missed quite a bit of racing here, but it's good to be back, and hope to see you guys a bunch more here in the weeks to come.
All right, definitely look forward to it, man, and hopefully we get to talk to you later in the race. Good luck to you.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
Corn don't grow on Rocky Top.
All right, we'll let you get back to it, Josh. Not sure what that means. Probably a sports reference. What, Big Al?
It's just,
Come on, man. That man's got a race. Don't poke with him. Pace car getting ready to dip down pit road. Josh Schaffner going to be in control of the field. I thought Thomas O'Hara was going to stay out, but it looks like he has decided to go in, and green flag is back out. Bad start on the top line. Don Avery. What do you think was going on there, Big Al? Wrong gear, possibly?
I think we caught him. I think Schaffner caught him sleeping right there because Schaffner had to drive off. And, you can start this thing in first gear or second gear. I think Avery was starting in second, and Schaffner just got a stronger jump there. And that's going to put Avery now fighting for P2 because he has got Kenny Powell that is definitely on his inside, and Jose Acosta is following. So Don Avery's poor start might actually cost him more than just 2 spots.
Yeah, Don Avery now stuck on the bottom. Kenny Powell going to be trying to take second place, and I think he's got it. Jose Acosta also been working very good here. Up now, I do believe, in 4th place. Acosta definitely going to be looking for some strong finishes because I know, he's also in this points battle.
Oh, this battle is wide open as well as this race. And like Schaffner said, he made some minor adjustments there at the end of the stage. And that's going to give him that handling that he needs. But look who is right behind him, his G&G teammate, Kenny Powell. Powell definitely now has made the adjustments that he needs. And not only is he racing to try to win this stage, Brian, he's racing for a championship as well.
Yeah, that he is. He is trying to get all the points he possibly can right now to try to spread the gap. I think that if he finishes where he is or if he wins this race tonight, he is the points leader. But that's the thing, though. Chris is going to come back next week ready to swing and get some good finishes. I mean, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, Dover on the docket next week. I think I'm right about that. I have to look it up.
And Dover's a battler's track. I mean, that Monster Mile is not given to just anybody. Miles knows what he wants. He knows what he demands respect. So I don't think you're just going to show up there and get it off the trailer and expect to put it in the victory lane. I think a lot of racing is going to have to happen before that occurs. So that's why Kenny Powell's making hay tonight. It's going to be a very big advantage for him. Kim LeBron, though, however, all the way back to P11. So remember, he did have a little bit of damage there as he kind of went sideways, but it's interesting to see how that has affected where he's standing in this group here tonight.
Yeah, I fully believe that this is affecting him. And it might not have fully broken the toe link, but I think it could have bent it to where the toe is a little bit askew. And that could cause premature tire wear, just make the car not handle right. As Don Avery now goes side by side with Kenny Powell. Avery, with the poor start, has definitely recovered well.
Yeah, and Avery has been running up front all night, so he's definitely going to be trying to get to nose of that 11 around the 24 of Powell. Just depends on how patient the guys behind him are going to be, because that is going to dictate what has allowed him to be able to get as far as a drive off when he tries to go around Powell if that opportunity should present itself. But Joey Preby all the way back in 6th place now, trying to get himself back into the top 5. These guys are not patient right now, Brian, as we are 19 laps here till stage 2 is in the books. That's the only time you're going to get the points. These guys are racy, and that's what I think is going to make it for an exciting race for the people at home, but it's going to make those guys that are in the race be on pins and needles just a little bit more.
And you know what the thing is also that kind of made this a little bit rougher here? That caution there before the end of stage number 1 has lengthened this stage, Big Al, in a way. You know, it has made it to where you're going to go on a longer run here.
Yeah, absolutely. So drivers are going to be feeling a little bit of a different way once they get to be about 25 laps or so on their tires, because they did not get to experience that through the first stage, as that caution was premature, like you said. Don Avery making his way around Kenny Powell now. He is on a different set. He's got Josh Schaffner now dialed in, and I think it'll be just a matter of time before you see the number 11 try to make waste of the 5-0 of Josh Schaffner.
Yeah, I think he is definitely going to be trying to get around it. But I think one thing that we have seen is some of these cars don't seem like they appreciate the clean air quite as much. Schaffner seems like he's doing good in that clean air. Will Don Avery do good? I mean, we saw Kendall LeBron earlier. When he got into clean air, car didn't handle it the same way. And you know, if Schaffner gets in dirty air, will his car start handling differently also?
Yeah, Don Avery definitely trying to make it work coming around the hop side. He has not been able to get around Schaffner like you said. He's going to get the run coming around the start-finish line. If he does have the pace, he has got to go soon with coming up on 11 laps on their tires. I don't think he's going to be able to make this case for the lead here a little bit later on. Now looks like he is going to be at risk of losing P2 to Kenny Powell, as Powell's getting a high run on the high side.
Yeah, and it seems like when Don Avery tries to go maybe off of his normal line, that's when he starts to slow down a little bit. You know, when he's trying to get around Schaffner, he's opening the door unwittingly for Kenny Powell. Now here comes Jose Acosta. I mean, Acosta is looking really fast right now also. The 42 must have made some adjustments on that last caution here. Don Avery getting a little bit of tight action, starts to wiggle off the corner. Kenny Powell gets a good run up on the top.
Avery's best shot at trying to save his position is going to be in getting that run. He's got to get back on the throttle early coming through the turn, get back up high, and be able to close Powell down. If he can't do that, he's going to probably look at seeing himself back all the way to 4th place, Brian.
I think he's losing it right now. I mean, look at that. I mean, went down on the apron, lost a ton of time getting loose down there. Now side by side with the 42. I think you are 100% right. But if Souza catches up a little bit more in here, he might lose even more positions if he's not able to get in line.
Yeah, he's going to have to try to get back up in line. As you see, Schaffner was able to take advantage of the fact when Avery tried to make the pass, he put Avery down in the position that not only not allowed him to pass, but actually cost him a couple of spots in the line. So that's just telling you how valuable not only track position is, but even where you're located or situated at on the track, Brian.
Yeah, I think if you put yourself in a precarious situation, it's definitely not going to pay off good for you here, as we see Joey Preby now trying to go side by side with Jeffrey Sousa for that 5th place position. Jose Acosta now up into 3rd place as Schaffner has started to pull away. Kenny Powell about a half a second back from Schaffner, but the battle is really to be watched is Sousa and Preby.
And if you look at all of the top 5, they're all running very different lines, and they're able to do that at this stage of the race. As now Avery tries to come around the 44
contact.
They make contact. He is still both drivers are able to maintain their course. Jose Acosta is going to be able to get the run on the top side, but Avery's still going to be able to capitalize and get going on the inside. But look at Joey Prevey stuck in the middle.
This is a scary situation right now. We were just 3 wide for a moment, and these guys are all right there on top of each other. This is a caution waiting to happen right now. But it looks like they were able to settle it. I mean, just speaks to the level of driver here on the ISCA that they were able to make it through that without killing each other there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of racing going on right there. Josh Schaffner doing everything that he needs to do to maintain his position as well as the lead. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, Brian, I don't think he's going to have to conserve. I think he's getting what he deserves. He's just putting the hammer down and running away from the rest of the field.
And you see Greg Wachinski trying to go side by side here with Joey Prevey, but Prevey shuts the door. Also now Jose Acosta and Jeffrey Souza side by side here on the backstretch. Souza probably going to get a better run here.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, these guys are bending strings, if you will. I mean, if they're playing guitars, they're just not hitting the frets. They're literally bending them. That's what they're having to do to get these cars to turn going around these turns right here. Sorry about my musical reference.
I think these guys are using a little bit of brake to try to get through the corner. I mean, especially the bottom line at this point in the run. These guys have been on these tires for about 20 or so laps now. This is that point where you do start to want to move up, and a lot of the guys that are on the bottom, you're stuck down there. You got to do something and try to hold that momentum, but it gets increasingly difficult as this race goes on.
Yeah, because you're right. You only got a brake and a throttle, so you're going to have to manipulate those the best you can. And he who manipulates them best, Brian, at this stage of the race is going to actually end up taking the flag, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the person, especially with braking and getting onto the gas in a proper way to not slide the tires and, of course, not turning the wheel too much. That's the guy that's going to save the tire, especially in this next stage. I mean, this next stage is going to be almost a full fuel run, pit, and then a full fuel run.
Hey, way to go, Wes Dobbs, now as he has got himself into the top 10. Started in 12th, and now he has battled all the way up to 8th place there, as you'll see him up with the likes of Jose Acosta and Greg Wachinski. Good on him, though, because he was further back there. Like right now we see Randy Mullins bringing up the rear of the field. The good thing is these guys that are further back, like Randy Mullins and Darren Mullins and Gary Adamson, they have not yet become any risk of getting lapped. But that's going to be something we're going to have to watch as we get into this third stage, Brian.
100%. And I do believe we have only 7 laps to go right now, soon to be 7 laps to go now in this stage. And that is when the real race is going to begin. But Josh Schaffner has utterly dominated thus far. Now almost 8/10 of a lead here as we see Jose Acosta has fallen all the way back here now to 7th place. Now is under fire again by Wes Dobbs, the 72 we were just talking about.
And Jose is going to have to go. And I mean, he doesn't have to do anything because I guarantee you Jose probably has a car to set up more for the long run. You talk about this all of the time. You just can't set a car up for a couple of turns. You got to set it up for a run. So I think maybe Jose's car is set up for the long run because I think you'll get the bigger dividend at the end for he who wins the race. No cautions as of yet. No cautions in sight. Schaffner right now getting ready to get himself a two-peat with 6 laps to go. If he can keep doing what he's doing, he will find himself the stage 2 a winner. Kenny Powell been running up top all night just doing what he needs to do. If Powell can stay clean, out of trouble, he'll find himself getting a good points night tonight, and that's going to be very well in his favor as well. I just think that the drivers right now is some of these guys got the cars kind of set up for a longer run. Some of these guys got to set them up for a shorter run. Track temp, though, didn't cool down any, Brian. It's actually gone up a degree, so now it's 101 degrees, but the wind's still out of the southwest at 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, what's so interesting about, Josh Schaffner, everybody else we've seen go down there on the apron here tonight, They get loose. They don't seem like they're handling very well, but Josh Schaffner's in clean air. He's been going down there, it seems like, every lap, Big Al. That's kind of interesting. I mean, it seems like it's not hurting him at all. In fact, it seems like it's helping him. He's almost got a second of a lead now on Kenny Powell.
No, and if you also remember Schaffner, I think this is one of his better tracks. He is somewhat of a what's the word I'm looking for? A savant when it comes to the mile and a half. So, Schaffner is really good though. His strongest suit, in my opinion, is the save game. So the fact that he
100%.
has been out front this long uncontested, I don't know what's going to happen in that third stage. I think he's only going to get stronger. That's just my opinion.
No, I actually agree totally with you. I think the only place that he's going to be out of contention is if he messes up on pit road, and that's going to be the biggest thing there. As we now have, I do believe, the white flag coming out soon. As we got to make just a couple more turns, and that white flag will be waving for the stage. And it looks like this one's going to go completely green, unlike that last one.
Yeah, which is awesome. I think that's just going to be a little bit of a precursor of what's going to come. I don't think these guys are going to I think it's going to be caution-free, honestly. I think once we get through this stage here.
Big battling going on right now. Don Avery and Kenny Powell duking it out. Titan fight on the last lap of this stage. Don Avery gets tight. Tries to turn it down, gets loose in order to avoid hitting Kenny Powell. That's going to put him under fire from Jeffrey Souza.
Yeah, just like that, Avery thought he was almost home clear, but it's not yet that way here. You got to race all the way through the end, and that's what I'm saying. We're waiting on that 10th place car, Thomas O'Hara, to cross the line.
That's right. There is the yellow for stage number 2. Josh Schaffner going to be your stage 1 and 2 winner. Kenny Powell finishes second here. Don Avery third. 4th place, Jeffrey Souza. 5th place, Joey Preby. 6th place, Greg Wachinski. 7th place, Wes Dobbs. 8th place, Jose Acosta. 9th place, Kendall Levron. And 10th place, Thomas O'Hara. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief step away. We'll be right back with whoever Big Al wants to talk to.
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
No.
When you carry out, some things are out of your control. But with Domino's new carryout insurance, we'll replace your pizza if it gets ruined after you leave the store. Carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 every day.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, we are taking those yellow flag stops in preparation for stage number 3. Of course, this is going to be the longest one. Kenny Powell almost, does he win the race off pit road here? I don't know, Big Al. I think Josh Schaffner, I think, was barely able to hold on to it. That was a close race for that lead off of pit road, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Schaffner being shown as your leader here. Looks like we have pulled up Jeffrey Souza to the broadcast booth. Jeffrey Souza, this is Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, Big Al. How's it going?
Hey, it's going pretty good, bud. Why don't you talk to us about what your race is like down there tonight?
We're going good tonight. Had kind of a decent week this week here at Chicago, so I shot Kenny a message and said, "Hey, Kenny, can I race tonight?" And he said, "Sure, why not?" So, I want to say this is probably my first race with these guys on Saturday. I know I jump in, usually after the races, or I'll help Don and Thomas sometimes. But so far we've been good. We've had to free it up a little bit, but should be interesting here to see what we can do on a full run now with this last stage.
Yeah, so your car definitely set up for a longer run more so than the shorter run. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I know in the officials this week, it's really been that 25 to 30 where the setup has shined, and I know we saw that last week with Don on Thursday night as well. So I'm hoping that all three of us in this last stage here can move our way up to the top 5, top 4 here, and hopefully give Triad a good run.
Well, awesome. We'll be definitely looking forward to it, man. Hey, give a mini shout out so I can let you get back to the business at hand.
Triad over there, everyone worked hard this week on the setup. Stent Analyzer and Susan Media, big help every week.
Roger, we'll see you a little bit later, bud. Good luck.
10-4, thank you.
Alrighty, that was Jeffrey Souza. He right now sits in 4th place on the top here as the pace car is getting ready to dip down pit road. And there he goes, Josh Schaubner gets the green flag.
Kenny Powell definitely stayed with him a little bit better than Don Avery did. And you see Powell was actually able to move down in front of Joey Prevey to solidify that 2nd place position. Don Avery now kind of getting kicked back a little bit as he is going to have to fall in behind teammate Jeffrey Souza. Don't think that's going to be a problem, but it's going to be about how well he closes the door on the 42 of Jose Acosta.
Yeah, you see Don Avery right now side by side with Jose. We know that Jose seemed like he was falling off a little bit in the mid-run. We'll have to see how that car kind of helps or gets better as the run goes on. Joey Prevey all the way down to the apron. And here comes Jeffrey Souza, going to be trying to get the run on the top side here, side by side, a couple rows deep here. Look at the run from Jose Acosta.
Yeah, I think
contact with a wall there. He gets loose.
I think a lot of these drivers right now, Brian, just trying to get out front, trying to get that track position. And once they solidify the track position, then it's just easier to ride in behind the car that's in front of you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of these guys are suffering from that little bit of a temptation to run the car hard in the first 5 laps. And I think that a lot of times leads to premature wear in the longer run. And a long run is what you need here. You need to save your tires right now. I would almost be of the mind to sit behind someone until they start to struggle. Push them a little harder, as we see Don Avery gets a big run. Prevey slides up, but it looks like Avery is going to get up there.
And a lot of these guys that have these long-run cars, it's going to be about their patience, because if you want to get out front real early, because that's what a lot of guys – look at me, I got to get out front, I got to tote that flag. Hey, you're going to have that. Schaffner's been out front. I think he's led pretty much every lap of the race thus far. So I believe that if you do have that long-run setup car, you got to stay in line. I think that's going to be the key. You're going to burn less fuel. You're going to have less wear on your tires, which means you're going to have faster laps longer, and you're going to need less time on pit road.
See, Jose Acosta, even after hitting the wall and getting loose, is still right there on the back end of Jeffrey Souza. Starting to put a little bit of pressure there on him. Side by side a little bit further back here. Joey Prevey and Kendall LeVron. LeVron making his appearance back up here in the higher running order here. You got to believe he has actually completed the pass on Prevey.
Yeah, he started this thing in 7th place, was running up in 2nd before he actually kind of stepped on it, found himself all the way back in the back of the field, and he has battled back here almost up into the top 5 again. And I think that's just him trying to show everybody how much of a rocket ship these guys unloaded when they got here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Those guys definitely unloaded a pretty fast race car here tonight.
But, I think Souza said it best. This track temp is so much hotter than what these guys have been practicing and running all week, and that makes a big difference in the handling of the car, Brian. It will affect it on the short run, and it's definitely going to affect it on the longer run. But
No, 100%. I definitely agree totally, for sure. Seems like Josh Schaffner, though, has been the man to beat here. I'm wondering, we haven't seen him in a 25-plus lap run. We've only seen him do about 25 laps. Anything beyond that, we haven't seen that for a lot of these drivers. So it's still up in the air how these guys are going to handle in that longer run with that temperature difference, too. I mean, you talk about, Souza saying that it was hotter, so they weren't used to this. I mean, I think that a lot of these guys have no clue what their setups are going to do in that longer run.
Well, and the track temperature is something that you can only practice for when you're on that temperature of a track. When you come to the track, you got your setup, you come out here, you unload it, and you start running laps. You're going to find it's not going to handle the same, especially if it's the difference that's greater than 5 degrees of what you're seeing versus what you practice versus what you're running. That's just math. So you're going to have to make some adjustments. And with the long run, trying to keep the heat out of the tires, that's going to be the key, because that's what's going to keep them longer, especially on this 1.5 miles. You can't just keep the throttle down on the track like Kansas. You're having to turn this thing into the corners. You're having to actually get off the throttle. You're having to actually bend the wheel. That's
for sure. This is not a flat-out track right now. I mean, these guys are using a 650 horsepower package here. So these guys, 1.5 miles, I know in the Gen 6, you can flat out around the track. You can't do that in this next gen. And so these guys are having to finesse it a little bit. You know what I mean? Just like what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about throttle control, getting off the throttle, trail braking, getting back on. I mean, these guys are actually, they got their hands full. Speaking of which, let's ride with Jeffrey Souza, and let's see kind of what's going on in the cockpit of his car as he is currently sitting in P3.
And some guys are running in different gears also. It looks like the majority of drivers, though, are running in a 4th gear setup. So not a lot of shifting going on around this racetrack. You can see the speeds these guys are hitting, though, as Jeffrey Souza right there behind Kenny Powell, 180, 188, 189, almost 190 mile an hour entering turn 1, Big Al.
Yeah, and as these laps get on these tires, man, everybody's car is going to be handling different. So once you come out of 2 and you're going down that backstretch, it's a totally different feeling, because you got to trust the guy that's going to be above you, below you going into turn 3. I mean, this racetrack is one of these iconic racetracks, and even though it's off of the series, we're still racing it here. So these guys, they have to be in the mode of, hey, I'm racing at Chicagoland. I mean, it is what it is.
See some battling going on. Joey Paribbi and Kendall LeBron still duking it out here, as the top 3 are starting to pull away now.
Yeah, but speaking of the top 3, though, Kenny Powell still got Jeffrey Souza. Souza now going to actually go ahead and make that move. Looks like he is going to be able to best Powell, get himself up into P2. Now, at halfway through this thing, I think now Josh Alton should be more concerned than he's been all night long, because, hey, Souza's running a completely different set. He said during the interview he believed they had a long run car. The Triad guys, the Don Abrys, the Thomas Harris. I want to see if these guys are going to be able to maintain and hold on, as the 28 of Kendall LeBron really battling right there with the 42 Acosta, as well as Joey Paribbi.
Yeah, definitely. As you can see, they are now 16 laps into this run, so tire wear is starting to be a little bit of a factor here. Of course, best laps these guys have turned tonight have been 30.6, 30.7. Looking at the laps now, they've already fallen off a whole second, Big Al.
A second has fallen off. And the track temp now back down to 100 degrees, which is where it was when we started this thing. But these guys have been into it for a long time now, Brian, as they're looking at having 65 laps to go in this 134-lap contest.
Look at this. Oh, problems as Joey Paribbi gets loose, gets into the to the 42. He goes up into the outside wall. So a little bit of drama going on now.
That's going to slow down Acosta. I mean, no matter how he looks at it, it did cost him. So Greg Wachinski able to get by on the inside. Jose, though, still going to be looking for a crossover, trying to gain that position back. Now, this battle right here is for 7th place, and I don't think Jose wants to let that go. because this race is just as important for him as it is for the 24 Kenny Powell.
Yeah, 100%. He needs as many points as he can get to try to see if he can't wrangle himself a Cup Series championship here as he tries to go side by side once again with Thomas O'Hara. I do believe damage might be impacting that race car. Look at that.
Yeah, because
Greg Wyszynski and Joey Preby side by side now.
Yeah, Greg Wyszynski definitely running by Joey Preby. He is going to be trying to get the best of him. This battle right here is going to be for 6th place right now. Wyszynski has the nose and the advantage. Preby going to pop up high. That's going to be his best shot. And then Thomas O'Hara is going to fall in behind him in 8th place.
I do apologize about that, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently Adobe wants to update now. But yeah, definitely some awesome battling. I mean, this race has been such a great welcome back for us. You know what I mean? Because I feel like this racing has been spectacular here with these drivers out here. Joey Preby and Greg Wyszynski still battling it out as they try to catch up there to the 28 of Kendall LeBron. LeBron has now moved up into the top 5. Of course, Josh Schaffner with a half a second. I tell you what, I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot when it comes to Josh Schaffner, half a second in front.
Yeah, Schaffner's doing very well up front. I mean, the lead that he has all the way back to 14th place of Randy Mullins. Mullins is still, pretty good ways back, but he is not out of this thing. So, at no way, shape, or form do I think Schaffner is going to lap the field. Derek Jacobs back there in 12th place. He's putting down pretty decent laps. He is running back with the likes of Wes Dobbs and Gary Adamson.
Yeah, I think that that 27 is very much improved. The more and more we see him out on the racetrack, the more and more laps he turns. And I think the company he keeps, too, helps him get it even better.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's rocking a new paint scheme tonight as well there, Brian.
See the 65 there side by side now with Kendall LeBron. Greg Wyszynski has gotten by Kendall, now moves his way up into the top 5. Here comes Thomas O'Hara. O'Hara looking really good tonight. I'm liking what I'm seeing from that 117.
He was up front earlier on in this contest, so he did show that he had the pace to be one of the front runners. So don't be surprised if you see him just kind of laying back to on that strategy and then putting forth a pretty strong run towards the end of this thing.
I think he's putting on a pretty strong run even right now as he goes side by side with Kendall LeBron. Joey Preby staying right there on Greg Wyszynski. Preby has just been nothing but fast here tonight in that 65. But, of course, seems to be a little bit looser in the short run, but it looks like the car is starting to handle really well for him right now.
Yeah, Preby definitely, he's fast. He started second outside pole, right? So here he is. He has had some ups and downs tonight as well as he has in this season in the league. But right now it's his race, man. So if he can put it together, he can complete the ensemble. Right now, he's got a nice pair of slacks. He's got a nice shirt. He's got a nice coat. He's got everything that he needs to put himself together. A strong finish here tonight is going to be how he pulls it together with the ties and the socks.
If they're the wrong color, it could cause him to lose this race. But
hey,
yeah,
man, I'm just saying.
No, I love it, man. I love it. I love it. Jeffrey Sousa, though, is starting to really run down Josh Schaffner right now. And you can see Sousa has been running the top this whole time. Look at that, loose, a little bit loose off the corner, but he is catching Josh Schaffner little by little.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I said. Schaffner and Sousa are running 2 different sets. So, and they're running 2 different lines. It's just one of these. This is going to be what determines who wins the race. It's going to be whose car handles best in the long run.
Speaking of which, we are now 26 laps into this run. That means we're in that unknown zone, Big Al, to where we don't know how these cars are going to start handling. Sousa seems like he's still handling pretty good, but I think one thing I'm always noticing at these mile and a halfs, at any track where a draft is important or where you have to make a big turn, it seems like the closer and closer you get to that lead car, the worse that car starts to handle. And you're seeing that from Sousa now. I mean, he was up to 3/10 behind Schaffner. Now is falling back to 5/10.
Well, let's, speaking of falling back, let's jump to the 117 of Thomas O'Hara. And if we could just jump in that car and roll back just a little bit there while we don't have a whole lot going on, I want to show you what happened, because when O'Hara found himself with Joey Preby, he got a very, very loose condition, and that actually cost him some spots on the racetrack. I think it was
Taking a look
before
back. Not seeing it here, Big Al.
Well, you know, Big Al sees things.
I mean, I don't doubt it. It happened. I mean, what happened exactly? You said I do see side by side though, Greg Wyszynski and Preby, but was the 117 close to the 65 and something happened?
Yeah, absolutely. The 117 actually, you know, he lost a lot of track position there. I think that allowed the 5 and the 65 to best him.
And you see right now, Preby has moved up into the top 5. Of course, Greg Wyszynski still right there behind him. But if you took a look at these guys about 10 minutes or a few laps ago, it was the exact opposite. Greg Wyszynski was in front of Preby. So Preby has been making a net positive right now, driving through this field. But now Josh Schaffner up to 7 tenths away from Souza. So I think Souza, I don't know, do you think that long run is as good as he thought it was going to be? Maybe because the track's a little bit hotter?
I don't know. The track is definitely cooling down now, though, Brian. It's all the way down to 96 degrees. So the longer the run, the cooler the track, the easier it is to get heat out of the tires, maybe. But maybe, and I said this earlier, too, you got to make those passes earlier on while those tires are fresh, because this is not a track where you're going to make it stick once you got 15 or plus laps on the tires. These guys now, all of them 31 laps on their tires, 51 laps to go in the race. So I'm assuming in the next 10 laps, we're going to start to see drivers come down pit road. Like you mentioned earlier, though, we're almost 2 seconds off of the best laps, and this is the longest run of the race.
Yeah, 100%. You're exactly right. I mean, Josh Schaffner's last lap was a 30.6, or his best lap was a 30.697. Last lap, 32.457. We have had a couple drivers that have bested that lap, though. Kenny Powell is one that's really quick right now. He's actually starting to catch Jeffrey Souza quite quickly here. Last time by was a little bit quicker than him. Actually, a little bit, a tenth quicker.
And if these guys are cognizant of what's going on the track, and I guarantee you they are, probably way more so than we are, some of these guys might be making some adjustments once they come down pit road, to maybe make those cars a little bit faster, because I guarantee you that car is going to handle a lot different at a 96-degree track temp than it did at a 101-degree track temp.
Last time by, though, Jeffrey Souza turning a very slow, Josh Schaffner turning a very slow lap at 32.717. That was about 2 tenths off of what Jeffrey Souza and company and behind him turned. So maybe Schaffner's starting to burn the equipment up a little bit here. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, but with 48 laps to go, I mean, all he has to do is just maintain what he's doing to this point. He is still some 6 tenths of a second faster, over a half a second faster than Jeffrey Souza. Souza has Stint Analyzer. That's the tool that he created. So he understands exactly what his lap times are. So for anybody out there, I'll give that plug to Souza, because I've seen so many drivers mention it and say the advantage that it has given them. I'm not sure if Josh Schaffner is utilizing that or not. But, I mean, right now he's just got to be comfortable in his setup, and he has got to run his own strategy.
Yeah, a little bit of a seesawing action kind of going on here now as the tires have started wearing substantially. We are 2 seconds of fall off in, and it's going back and forth where Josh Schaffner will turn a faster lap than Souza. Souza will turn a faster lap than him. So it's like back and forth here. But I'll tell you one thing that has been constant. Kenny Powell has been faster than both of them.
But Powell just not quite able to close that distance yet, but he doesn't need to. Right now, all I think Powell needs to do is just do what he's doing. Kendall LeBron now popping the seal. He will be the first car to come down pit road, and I think he's actually going to remove himself from the competition. I think Kendall LeBron has actually left the race here for tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Hate to see that. Not sure what was going on with that race car. Hate to see him leaving so early here. Definitely a strong performance. Maybe the tires were starting to wear, or just got frustrated, possibly.
Too much turkey. I'm going with too much
Could
turkey.
be. I'll tell you what, I sure did eat a lot. One thing about a Thanksgiving dinner, it ain't Thanksgiving if you ain't got no deviled eggs.
Oh, you know what? I didn't have deviled eggs until like right here before this race. My daughter made some because we didn't have any. Nobody bought deviled eggs, so I actually, heck yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Side by side, though, here comes Joey Prevey on Don Avery, going to be trying to work his way up into the 4th place position. It looks like he's going to get it done as they both go down on the apron. You can see just how the car recoils when it goes down there on that apron. You have to be really careful with that, but it looks like these guys have been managing to keep it pointed in the right direction.
Speaking of pointing in the right direction, looks like Kenny Powell has caught up to Jeffrey Souza, and that is definitely going to be the booger on the finger that Souza does not want, because I don't think he's going to be able to get rid of Powell.
The booger on the finger.
Powell being the booger on Souza's finger, but looks like he is now going to best him and get on the inside, which is definitely not what Souza wants. Green flag pit stops officially under the way as a triad team. You got the 11 of Don Avery and the 117 Thomas O'Hara down on pit road, Brian.
That they are. Also, you see Darren Mullins in the background also coming down pit road. This is that pivotal moment for a lot of these drivers because I do believe, green flag pit stops are going to be well and truly kicked off here. This is that big moment. If you mess this up, Big Al.
Leader pit road.
Josh Schaffner is coming down pit road. Jeffrey Souza also making his way down. Almost got loose there on the entry. Looks like he was able to keep it pointed in the right direction. Also, Greg Wachinski's down.
So I think this just tells us that at 40 laps, everybody was ready to throw in the towel.
I mean, really close off pit road there. We saw Darren Mullins exiting his box and Jeffrey Souza going into his, only inches away from having some contact there on pit road.
But I truly believe that everybody was at the point where they said, if they pit, we're pitting. Powell actually hits the entrance commitment come, but I don't even think that thing's turned on because after what I saw Thomas O'Hara do at stage 2, I think you could just drive across the grass and go to your pits.
Well, hopefully nobody gets any penalty. I'm sure Big Al's going to be keeping really eye on that.
Schaffner and Souza banging doors coming off a pit road for the lead.
Taking a look back at this to see Josh Schaffner and Jeffrey Souza having a little bit of contact, huh?
Oh yeah, it was more than just a little bit of contact. It was a full-fledged battle off of pit road. You'll see it right here. As Souza now comes across, he is getting all of the momentum that he can, trying to get the run on Schaffner. And Schaffner right there at the last minute there.
Yeah, definitely. You don't see it a lot to where people are racing off of pit road.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we gotta call it where we see it here tonight.
Josh Schaffner still does have position on Jeffrey Souza, though.
And let's talk about Jose Acosta because he was the last one I do believe that actually came down pit road.
Yeah, he is actually coming off of pit road right now, I do believe.
How long was his stint on pit road there right there on that last run?
Jose Acosta spent 15.3 seconds in the box, so he definitely took 4 tires. Randy Mullins, though, finds himself leading his first laps here in the ISCA.
Welcome and congratulations. I guess both are in order.
100%, and it looks like he has now brought it down pit road. Love that paint scheme. Of course, it says the 81 on there. I do believe he is actually the 9 here in our telemetry.
9 squared.
That's right. And love that paint scheme. It definitely takes me back to watching some Days of Thunder, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, green flag pit stops have been completed. We'll do a quick rundown through the field here. Josh Schaffner Of course, when he crosses the line, let's wait till they actually cross the line. It'll update everything here. And there we go. Josh Schaffner, of course, is your leader right now with Jeffrey Souza in second place, Kenny Powell in third place, Joey Preby fourth place, Thomas O'Hara fifth, Greg Wachinski in sixth place. Of course, Randy Mullins falling through the field. Gary Adamson now in seventh place, eighth place, Jose Acosta, ninth place, Wes Dobbs, and 10th place, Darren Mullins. That is your top 10 right now. Battle still on, though, for the lead as they have spread their lead out quite a bit. I mean, Kenny Powell is almost 2 seconds back from these two. Powell, I do believe, waited until he was one of the last guys to make his way down pit road. Of course, Jose went down later than him.
Yeah, and then unfortunately for the guys that are further back in the pack, Schaffner and Souza got this thing figured out, and they know exactly how fast they can run for how long. And so they're going to keep the hammer down. So unfortunately for the rest of the pack, man, I'm thinking that the only person that can keep this from being a Josh Schaffner hat trick is possibly going to be Jeffrey Souza.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't write off Kenny Powell. I mean, he's going to be on a little bit newer tires, 1 lap newer tires, even though that doesn't seem like a lot here at Chicago. I think it is. I think it's going to be substantial. I mean, Kenny in the later run showed better speed than both of these two drivers. So, I mean, I'm kind of leaning in that direction. I think that Kenny has time still to catch up here, but he's going to need some draft. I think the thing he doesn't have draft right now.
I mean, if you want to have a conversation about it, the problem is going to be if he were going to make the pass, he'd have to do it within the first 10 laps. That's got to be the stint where his tires are good. Unfortunately, now, even if he does catch these guys, unless he's playing Peter against Paul, I mean, he has little to no chance of trying to get around him just because of the bad air he's going to have when he gets there.
Side-by-side racing for the lead. Josh Schaffner and Jeffrey Souza battling it out right now.
Souza understanding that he has to get around Schaffner right now. If he can't make this pass within the first 10 laps, he is not going to be able to pull it off, Brian. He was here.
We saw him earlier. He got close to Schaffner before, but was not able to complete the pass the closer he got to him. So this is now the go time. He has to make it now.
I'll say 11 at best, but if he can't get around him now, he's not going to be able to have that speed and the maneuverability that he needs to make the pass.
100%. Looks like Josh Schaffner has solidified the lead, though. We see Souza trying to build a run, but now has relegated himself back into that second place position. We'll have to see if he can't. I don't know. I think that opportunity might be gone now. We'll have to wait and see if Souza can manifest something. He goes to the inside. Side by side across the start-finish line. Very close. Souza desperate. He dives it in. But Schaffner, of course, running on that top, is going to get the run.
He has to make this pass happen, Brian, no matter what. If Souza can't make this pass happen, he is not going to be able to get around Schaffner. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to get around him. I mean, but Schaffner goes down there to the apron. Souza stays up on the racetrack to get some clean air and hopefully manifest a run. But you know what this has been doing, Big Al? Been allowing that 24 to close on in.
But he's going to suffer a similar fate, though. I think your best shot at making a pass in these cars is going to come around lap 11. If you get around lap 12 or 13, I don't think you're going to be able to bend it in enough to get around the guy in front of you.
Speaking of which, Josh Schaffner and Jeffrey Souza both now on lap 12 of the run. Kenny Powell is on lap 11. Still the battle rages on as Jeffrey Souza trying every line, every trick he knows to figure out a way to get around that 50 machine. Gets a good run. Going to be entering turn 3 and 4. Schaffner going to be stuck up on the top. Remember that bump is in the middle of 3 and 4. I think Souza could get the pass completed. He is going to slide in front of Schaffner.
Now, the key now is going to be to stay there. You know, getting passing him is one thing. Now he's got to make the pass stick, Brian.
And it looks like he is going to be still under fire here. Schaffner goes down to the bottom, but I think Souza might have it here. Schaffner, this whole race, has not been in dirty air. Now he is.
Probably a little bit longer than I would have wanted it to take, but he got it done. And I think now it's going to be on him to stay out front.
All the updates tonight, apparently. Do
Well,
apologize.
the whole gang's here, so might as well go ahead and update the stage.
100%. Right now, Jeffrey Souza is up in the lead right now. Josh Schaffner has been relegated back to second place. Souza starting to pull away, but his car has not been in clean air all night either, so he could also have problems with that. We'll have to wait and see. Kenny Paldo, third place. Joey Preby, fourth. Greg Wachinski, fifth. Thomas O'Hara in sixth place. Seventh place, Jose Acosta. Eighth place, Gary Adamson. Ninth place, Wes Dobbs. And 10th place, Darren Mullins right now.
Derek Jacobs is going to be in 11th with Randy Mullins in 12th. Don Avery all the way back at 13th, one lap down. And Gino LeBron in the garage.
Don't choke.
Olives.
Sounds like a martini kind of night.
No, just straight olives with stuff with jalapenos.
Sounds pretty dang delicious. Now 110 laps into this race. The battle still rages on for this lead as Schaffner tries to get to the back bumper of Jeffrey Souza. Kenny Powell also trying to work his way up. Joey Preby has been running some really good laps. He's actually a 2/10 faster than Kenny Powell. I mean, I'd say I rode off that 65, but I don't know. I think he might have a really good long-run chance here as we're now 19 laps into this run.
But, you know, I think we've seen the long run already. That's what led us into the pit stall. So now the 50th Schaffner is really, I mean, his back's against the wall. He has got to try to press Jeffrey Souza as much as he can to try to get around him. He's not even trying to just press him for stress. He has got to get around him, Brian.
And you know, I don't know. I feel like if I was in Schaffner's shoes right now, I would just be making sure that I'm saving my equipment, staying behind and pushing him a little bit further than he wants to go. And here we go. I think we're getting ready to go side by side once again. This battle is not over in the slightest.
No, it's not. It's just this is one of those passes that it's just going to be hard to complete. And I think as this thing goes on, it's going to get more and more difficult. So Schaffner has to try to make it work now. His tires aren't going to be any better than they are right now, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely in a bad position right now for sure. As he's put in that same place that Souza was in earlier. I mean, the closer that Souza got to the Schaffner earlier in the race, the worse the car started handling. And Schaffner's right in that, right now. But Souza at least had a lot of time to get used to that, right? Schaffner has not. Schaffner has not had any time to be in dirty air all night.
Yeah, and that track temp's still hovering around 100 degrees. It's at 99 right now. The wind is really non-existent. However, though, what is really pulling on everybody's heartstrings, and that's the fact that these guys have got 21 laps on their equipment, and they still have 21 laps to go. So barring some late-stage caution, I mean, or if they are going to eventually run down to 27 and the 9, I just think that this is going to be a long, hard battle. It's going to be arduous.
Yeah, for sure. You see Kenny Powell. We're looking through his cockpit camera right now as he catches up to Josh Schaffner. Schaffner's starting to look a bit loose.
You also see that Powell's running a fifth gear setup.
Yeah, that he is. Definitely looking incredibly fast right now, but you mentioned it's going to be very difficult for him to make these passes happen at this point. But that one lap newer tire, I mean, that could provide all the difference.
Okay, I mean, I got it. Santa Claus is coming, and if I believe in him, I'm gonna get good shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
If I don't believe in Santa, I'm getting screwed. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm believing in Santa Claus. And here he comes taking Kenny Powell around the 50 of Josh Schaffner, that's going to put Powell up in the P2, and that's what Powell needs to be. Look, Kenny is chasing a championship. He's not chasing the 96 of Jeffrey Souza. Let's don't get this twisted. I mean, right now, if Powell keeps doing what Powell's doing, not only will he get a chance to talk to Big Al, he's going to get a chance to talk to Brian Brett.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing about it is that Souza and Josh Schaffner were battling each other for lap after lap after lap. Kenny Powell had no part of that. He was not battling at all. That makes me think he has more tire left right now.
Yeah, you're right. He probably does, because right now the 50 of Schaffner is definitely feeling the pressure from that 65 of Joey Preby. And I'm going to tell you, Preby, that's not the booger I want on my finger. I mean,
No.
I got boogers on the finger tonight. But here comes Powell, though, putting the pressure on Jeffrey Souza. Souza definitely not wanting to feel this kind of pressure, because Souza's going to want the win. I mean, point blank, period. He's not here to finish P2. He's here to try to pull to pull off the W, right?
100%. Looks like Joey Preby has completed the pass on Josh Schaffner, rockets his way up into third place. Now Kenny Powell is trying to work on Souza, but I think he's also going to be starting to have that same problem that Souza and Schaffner had earlier. When you're in that wake of that car, the closer you get, the less downforce. Souza gets loose. Big loose condition out of turn 2 for Jeffrey Souza. Could that be what Kenny Powell needs?
Big wiggles. That's what we call that where I come from. So big wiggles for the 96, but he is still going to be able to pedal through it and keep it rolling.
Yeah, shocked that he didn't lose any momentum on that at all. I mean, he was able to. Kenny didn't really close in on him as much as I thought he would, but Jeffrey Souza, that just really speaks to the amount of laps this guy has under his belt.
And Powell is trying to bend this thing right now. He is trying to bend these corners into his favor. But here's the problem. Right now we got 15 laps to go, and Joey Preby is slowly closing in on Powell. Now, that's going to put way more pressure on Powell than Powell needs, and I think that's going to allow the 96 of Jeffrey Souza to just keep on rolling away, Brian.
Oh, a little bit of contact, I do believe, between Kenny Powell and Joey Preby. Preby definitely showing his nose. This is getting interesting. This is going to be a 3-car battle for the win, I do believe. Schaffner sitting back there just hanging out. He might even be a factor here if these guys kind of get involved with one another.
No, I think the 96 just has to keep doing what he's doing and let the 24 in the 65 battle it out. Oh, snap, drizzle, dizzle.
No, I agree totally. Looks like the 65 has got the pass completed, though, on the 24. So now next in line is the 96. So now he needs to start worrying. He was hoping that Kenny would do a little more to keep him back there.
Yeah, it's worry time. Yeah, we're taking on water right about now if you're the 96.
Joey Preby with an excellent run so far here tonight. Of course, what is interesting, if you take a snapshot from earlier in the race on lap number 1, Joey Preby spun out almost, fell back quite a bit of positions, but has worked his way back up in here. I mean, what a great recovery from this driver.
Yeah, don't forget what Big Al said. I mean, he has already demonstrated the pace as he did start outside pole, and here he is now getting ready to put pressure on the 96 of Jeffrey Souza. Now, Souza, he still got to run his race, but the one thing that he didn't need, he did not need the 65 of Joey Preby coming up on his rear end right now.
Here comes Preby. Preby side by side now with the 96. Kenny Powell watching, waiting. Josh Schaffner starting to catch up. This is going to be a 4-car battle for the lead.
Well, the 96 just has to try to make sure that he keeps his neck long enough to stay out in front of the 65. That's the key. He cannot allow the 65 to get a run on him, whether it be high or low, with 10 laps to go in this race.
Wow, you sound like Dr. Seuss. Whether it be high or low with 10 laps to go. That was beautiful, Big Al.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
65 now on the rear end of that 96. Battles happening right now up here in this front pack between these top four. A little bit of contact with the wall there from Kenny Powell. That's going to allow Josh Schaffner to catch up here.
And understand, though, Brian, as we say all the time, it is go time. So this is the time where you just pull all the stops out. There's nothing. You got nothing to lose here, man. Whether you got to put a guy in the grass or in the wall, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to bring this thing home. I mean, this is where you risk it for the biscuit, baby.
Yeah, for sure. This is where you ask for forgiveness later.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is what we're talking about. This is where you're rolling for the dough.
Josh Schaffner getting around Kenny Powell. Still side by side, though. Side by side for the lead also. 65, though, not able to actually get the pass done.
And the 96 of Jeffrey Souza, he has got to fight now like his life depends on it. There's never, ever been a bigger moment for this team than right now, Brian.
100%. Jeffrey Souza, of course, not racing in the Saturday Series all the time here. So this would be big for him.
Joey Preby now being shown as your leader, but Jeffrey Souza definitely doing everything that he has to do to keep that Souza media school bus rolling. He is now on the outside. I mean, Brian, we are 6 laps to go at the line on this thing. And
look at Josh Schaffner come. I mean, this is going to be quite the show here. And if Preby's able to do that on the last lap, he's going to win this race.
Oh, Preby got the inside right now. He has got Schaffner getting ready to challenge him. Schaffner's just waiting for any spot of sunlight. Look, we're going to be 5 laps to go at the line on this thing, Brian. And everybody in Chicago is on their feet. I mean, we got ourselves a drag race shootout right here. I'm going to let you call it.
We see Joey Preby gets into the outside wall a little bit. Now here comes Jeffrey Souza to the inside. 3 wide as Josh Schaffner to the bottom.
Souza lifted. I would not have lifted. I would have just taken it all the way into the outside of the 65. Schaffner now on the inside. He is definitely going to try to make his presence known. Looks like the 65 of Joey Preby, though, is going to take the lead for just the second time tonight here. 5 laps to go. Preby out front here. Going to be trying to do everything he can to make a name for himself.
Yeah, I think he's in prime position right now. We'll have to wait and see if he can keep it, though, as they do, I do believe, are coming up on some lap traffic here. Will they catch that lap traffic? Will that lap traffic have some type of impact on this race? But right now, Preby is in, like I said, the best position. He's starting to pull away a little bit on Josh Schaffner right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just a flip-flop of how we started this thing. Remember, Schaffner started this thing P1 on the pole with Preby on his outside. Now here we go. Schaffner trying to do everything he can to get his spot back on the throne. But Preby saying, not today, Josh Schaffner. The corn ain't growing today.
Also got to keep in mind, Josh Schaffner suffering from a little bit of an injury, I do believe, in one of his arms. So definitely makes it even more impressive for him to be having this sort of a run here, even with that.
I'm going to tell you what, this has been one of the best races that we covered for the ISCA for some time. All of these races are very competitive. They're very spirited. They're very awesome. But tonight's race, Brian, I think even though it's been really the Josh Schaffner show. I didn't say that out loud, but Joey Preby tonight, right now, is trying to do the undoable. That is with 2 laps to go. He is trying to keep Josh Schaffner from having the comeback of the season.
Yeah, he definitely is. And Joey Preby, of course, somewhat of a comeback story himself, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, he kind of stepped on it a little bit earlier on this thing. Like I said, we started outside, and then he kind of spun out early there right at the end of stage 1. And then here he is all the way back, Brian, with 2 laps away from being crowned the ISCA Chicagoland Speedway winner here post-Thanksgiving. I mean, if that ain't worth a couple turkey legs, I don't know what is.
Joey Preby now taking the white flag as he's now onto the backstretch. Just 2 more corners remain. That Sim Seat 65 looks like he is going to go to victory lane as he enters turn number 4, goes through going to be exiting onto the front stretch as a winner. Joey Preby, the 65, takes home the dub here in the Domino's 200. Looks like Josh Schaffner going to be grabbing second place with Jeffrey Souza in third. Kenny Powell, fourth place. Greg Wychinski in fifth place. Thomas O'Hara, sixth place. Seventh place, Jose Acosta. Eighth place, Wes Dobbs. Ninth place, Gary Adamson. And running at our top 10 is Derek Jacobs.
Man, that's going to put Darren Mullins in the 11th, and he is going to be the last car that's actually on the lead lap. After that, Randy Mullins making his debut is going to be scored one lap down in 12th with Don Avery. In 13th, Kendall LeVon out of the car early is going to be scored some 45 laps down, ladies and gentlemen. That rounds out our field as well as our time here for the general coverage. We're going to take a break, go back, get a word from our sponsors, come back, and actually have our post-race coverage.
At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two, like how nice it is to switch and save on your auto policy. But it's even nicer knowing that if this happens, or this happens, or this, or even this, we've seen and covered it. So call 1-800-FARMERS to switch your auto policy, and you could save an average of $470. Get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
No.
When you carry out, some things are out of your control. But with Domino's new carryout insurance, we'll replace your pizza if it gets ruined after you leave the store. Carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 every day.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to be joined in the booth by our third place finisher, Jeffrey Souza. Definitely had a chance to get the dub out there tonight. You had 23 laps led. Looked like the car was handling really good for you there. What do you think you needed to get that victory?
I needed the set of V3s that I ordered on Black Friday, probably. My right foot, just with this throttle pedal I have, I'm just a little bit too much on it. And when I was going back and forth with Don and Thomas about the tire wear, it's obvious every week that I just burn my tires up a little bit more. And I think that's really what ended up making the difference tonight.
Yeah, definitely seemed like that, but still the car was handling very well. I mean, you finished third place. We're just a sniff away from that win. Still a great day for you. Of course, I know that you usually don't race here in the Saturday Series. What are your impressions now? Now you race in the Saturday Series.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I usually watch the races. If I obviously don't race them, but I watch them with Don and Thomas every week and try to help them run towards the front. And running Thursday nights to running tonight, I do think, obviously there at the end it was 4 of us under the blanket for the win. So if time allows, I might try to jump in a couple more next season on Saturdays, but for right now, this would be a one-off, I think.
All right. Well, we definitely appreciate you showing up here tonight. Definitely made it very interesting. Almost was able to win your first race here in the Saturday Series. How are you feeling about, I do believe, I know Thursday we'll be resuming competition. I do believe Dover is where we're going to be heading. How are you feeling about that?
Actually, I was working on Dover yesterday. For the LTAC league that you guys work on Friday nights, and I'm honestly not, not too upset with it. Definitely learned some things about how much tire saving is going to matter for races next week. So if I'm not racing Thursday night, you might see me jump in on Friday night out of the race control booth to run. So I think we're going to have another good setup, and I think between the skills of Don and Thomas, both of them, how good they are at saving tires, I think next week's going to be a pretty good week for us at Dover.
Well, we definitely look forward to it, man, for sure. Great job on your third place finish and leading 23 laps. Who can we give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, just got to thank Triad, everyone over there. Jeff Barnes put in a lot of work on the setup this week, as well as Thomas and Don, just running countless laps, really, to get this thing where it needs to be. And sucks for Don to get that penalty late there on that green flag stop. But, I didn't want to say it, but, last week and Thursday night, he had the best car and got screwed by a late yellow. And then I think, based on what long run we had before the pit stops, I think he had the best car tonight too. Just took a little bit of time to get by Kenny, and then the pit stop issue, obviously. But we'll keep trucking, and everyone at Suzumini Instant Analyzer that helps get these cars on track and helps get all the sessions working and everything. Without them, we wouldn't be able to get practice in and get setups done. So thanks to everyone that works on these cars, and good luck to everybody next week if I'm not around the race.
All righty. We appreciate your time, Jeffrey, and hopefully we'll talk to you on Thursday.
Thanks.
All right. That was Jeffrey Souza, your third place finisher here tonight. Josh Schaffner going to be next up with Big Al standing by.
Josh Schaffner, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
I got you loud and clear.
Man, when you guys pulled in and you pulled that rocket off of the truck, everybody kind of knew that, like, man, that's not even a car. I mean, it truly was a rocket. We're used to seeing you really kind of in the back. You're the conservation king, the conservative, truly. But tonight, you actually went out there and you dominated. You led 99 laps of this thing coming into your final green flag pit stops. Why don't you talk us through what happened at that point?
Yeah, it had a great car tonight, and hadn't been running here a lot lately, so it's kind of shaking the cobwebs off, and it was great to get back out with the group here in the ISCA Saturday night group, and it kind of controlled the race there, the first two stages, and then kind of the green flag run of the third there, and I had was probably a little conservative with my pit stop. Jeffrey kind of gained quite a bit of time on me there, and we kind of had a race off a pit road, and then I probably that last run there just didn't conserve my tires the way I should. I probably should have let Jeffrey go and not maybe battle there, but I was a little concerned. I hadn't been in dirty air all night and kind of wanted to see if I controlled the race there. And by the time I realized I needed to conserve, I let Kenny and Joey by, and then kind of conserved a little bit there for 10 laps and cooled the tires down and took another run at them, which was really fun racing with Kenny and Jeffrey. And congrats to Joey there in the win, and it was a really clean battle there, and probably was a lot of fun to watch from the booth.
Yeah, it definitely was, and it always is, Josh, man. We really appreciate having you a part of the show, and we definitely can tell when you're not there. And I know you're wondering about the corn comment. You're the corn guy, and I'm up here, Tennessee guy, so that's what I was talking about, Rocky Top. Corn don't grow on Rocky Top. But, man, you had a strong race, and it was awesome. But Joey Preby, though, I think he kind of surprised everybody because he was really kind of sitting back watching you guys battle. And you mentioned about battling with Souza and Powell. Where was your best point on your tires? At which point do you think your car was the fastest?
Yeah, I actually thought my best pace was kind of after lap 25 or after 30 or so. And it kind of showed there. I think when I let Jeffrey get around, I struggled there a little bit, and the car kind of came back to life there with 10, 12 to go, and that's kind of when I realized once the balance kind of came back around, I could probably, go back up there and make a run at him. And Joey just had a great car, and I guess I have to go back through, I think he was maybe on one lap fresher tires. I think he pitted with Kenny there, and I think with me and Jeffrey battling up there, and I think Kenny and Joey probably, took advantage a little bit and took care of their stuff. They weren't really racing nobodies. They got back up through there, and yeah, they just did a great job taking advantage of the situation. And congrats to Joey.
Yeah, one more thing though, the track temp once we started this thing it's always over 100 degrees. Now it hadn't been that hot during the week. Do you think that had anything to do with the degradation in your tires and in your handling?
Yeah, I guess for me, I just felt like I was maybe with the hotter track temp just a little tighter. So I felt like I was maybe using the right front up a little bit more, especially maybe in the beginning of the run, and then I'd kind of transition to maybe just a little bit loose in the middle, but then it was really neutral at the end. But definitely just a slower pace, and I think tire conservation it's been important all week, but I felt like maybe with hot track it was even just a little bit more important.
So once you were out front, I mean, did you have a fifth gear setup or a fourth gear setup?
I was running 4 gears tonight.
4 gears. So once you were out front, were you comfortable setting the pace? Did you think that you were kind of like maybe chasing, maybe running yourself a little bit too fast, or you think you were just good with the pace that you were setting?
Yeah, I think I was pretty good with it. It's always a challenge when you get out front, and especially maybe you get out there 3 4 tenths. You start thinking about, well, can I back that pace down? And sometimes when they're that close, it's hard to do that. But then once you get out there, maybe 3/4 of a second, I'd actually start, just backing that pace down and just trying to maintain that half second. But it did seem like as the run went on, I could back my pace off, and after lap 30, I could probably pull away from them. But yeah, I just didn't take care of my tires the last run, and came close, but just didn't quite have enough tonight.
Yeah, definitely good to see you back up front, Josh. Next week we're heading into Dover. Different track from this. This is definitely it's gonna be a more of a mile track, concrete track even. So what are you thinking with the new setups that we have in iRacing going into Dover? Where you think you're gonna set up at for that?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Always enjoyed that racetrack. It's kind of a driver's track. You have some options there, but you got to conserve tires there too and be good on the long run. But a place I always enjoy, and in Chicagoland's really fun too. And usually deal with fall off here and at places like Dover. So I'm looking forward to next week and heading out east to Dover.
Definitely looking forward to seeing you there, boss man. Before we let you go here tonight, who you shouting out with your second place finish?
Yeah, got to thank everyone at G&G and Smith Farms and Pioneer Seeds. Got to thank everyone at ISA and Brian, or Al, you and Brian up in the booth. Appreciate all you guys do. And yeah, just great to be wrapped up with harvest back here in Minnesota and get ready for winter. And look forward to getting back out. But just appreciate everyone that makes this league go around. It's a fun group to participate with.
Yeah, absolutely, Josh, and we appreciate you and everything that farmers do, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Schaffner, thanks again, Josh.
Appreciate it.
Alrighty, that was Josh Schaffner, our second place finisher here on the night. Led the most laps, 99 laps on the night led. But Joey Preby comes out here with the upset. Joey, just fantastic run, man. You were just so quick out there, especially just came out of nowhere, almost like Kevin Harvick, the closer, just showing up. Man, I mean, how'd you do it?
I honestly don't know. Well, lap 1, I was sideways on the track, thought I was done there, and I felt like I never could get back up. And I don't even know how I got all the way to first throughout this race. It everything kind of happened and walked out.
Yeah, it seems like you definitely, I guess maybe subconsciously made all the right decisions there when you pitted him. He had a lap, fresher tires. Do you think that had a little bit to do with it possibly?
Oh, yeah. That lap, it definitely did help. I think I was running just a little faster than, who was it? Josh and Jeffrey, I think. Yeah. Felt like I was faster than them. The only thing I was worried about was since they had pitted a lap sooner, that they maybe would have had, a little bit of an advantage. Where it seems like through the races I've done this week that short pitting has kind of been the strategy, where there's so much of a time difference between fresh tires and old tires that I didn't think I'd be able to catch up, but it worked out.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I think a lot of that probably came down to the fact that Josh Schaffner, Jeffrey Seuss, and Kenny Powell were all battling super hard, and you really didn't have to battle very much. But then still had the resources left to really throw it on there, and you got clear of Souza. You took the lead. Josh Schaffner came back to you, started pressuring you, but you still, you were able to turn diamonds into that pressure, as Big Al always would say. But man, great job to you. You led only 7 laps tonight, but you brought home the win. I mean, how does that feel for you though? Considering I know you were away for a little bit, you came back, and now you're up in victory lane. And I know some things have changed for you for sure. Maybe even with the setups and stuff like that. Did you make adjustments also?
I didn't make too many adjustments to this setup this week. It does feel good though to win. I feel like I've had good speed the last couple races, as long as my internet hasn't failed, like at Kansas. Uh, I feel like I've had good speed, and I felt like one of these races I was bound to win, and it just works out that it was this race.
You definitely earned it, like you mentioned before. That lap one almost. I mean, that could have easily ended your race right there, but you kept it going in the right direction. No caution came out as a result of it, and you steadily worked your way back to the front to win this race, man. Excellent work. Can't wait to see. I would assume you're going to get back to victory lane probably soon. I mean, man, just an excellent performance here tonight. Who can we, or I should say, I'm trying to skip a question here. How do you feel about Dover coming up? This was a question I should have asked.
I feel good about Dover. It's short track, high banking, probably like Josh said. I think he said about probably a little bit of tire saving, kind of like Bristol was. Kind of won that bottom line, and I feel like saving tires and just keep not going sideways next week on lap one, and probably will have a good race.
Yeah, I'm about to say, if you do that on lap one next week, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a wall meeting you.
Yeah.
But definitely appreciate your time, man. Excellent work. Congratulations on this big win. I mean, a lot of talent that was in this field here tonight, and you were able to beat them all. Who can we give a shout out to after that big performance tonight?
Everyone at Lyco Motorsports, setups for making a good setup and having good qualifying setups and race setups, very stable, that lasts on the long run, and you guys for setting all this up, and Kenny for running this league, and you guys for podcasting.
All right, man. Well, we definitely appreciate you. Congratulations once again on your big win.
Thank you.
All righty, that was Joey Preby, our winner here tonight for the Domino's 200 at Chicagoland. What a race it was. I mean, I feel like we've had a big break, this week. Haven't done a lot of broadcasting, that's for sure. But man, to come back like this is amazing.
I don't think you understand the break, because see, I carry you, so you're so heavy that I needed the time off. So Superman's recharged. But yeah, you're absolutely right though, Brian. Just kidding. Awesome race tonight, man. Definitely after the last week's race at the iRacing Super Speedway, coming back to the 1.5 miles, and then going to the mile next week at Dover, just 2 races away from crowning a champion. I think everybody should be tuned in right here, man. I don't think they're going to want to miss it.
Yeah, that's for sure. What an excellent race for sure. Shout out to everybody out there that participated. Definitely some great, clean racing. I know Kenny Powell definitely has some good speed there. Going to be gaining some points. I'd say I do believe, if math serves me correctly, I think he's going to be the points leader after this race, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have to wait and see if that actually is the truth. But definitely tune in next Thursday. We're going to be back racing in the Thursday series at Dover as well. You'll see all the familiar faces there. 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the broadcast will start. Of course, the actual race itself a little bit after 9:30, and same time on Saturday will also be Dover. We're getting closer and closer to crowning a champion for this Cup Series, and I can't wait to see who's going to come out on top. But that has, of course, been me, Brian Britt, and Big Al. We appreciate everybody out there tuning in, and we'll see you next time.